Hello, I'm Otto, and welcome to episode 46 of my Factorio Post Novice Guide. So in the last episode, we created some bacteria with jelly, and this was just iron bacteria. And then I said I was going to do the copper after, so I did end up doing the copper after, which is great. I also kind of took away our little limits here, and the reason why is because at the end of the last episode, I kind of showed off how we were going to change the little farming setup. It's not exactly how I had it set up, and I did also say that I should have made it too wide. I made it too wide and then realized why I made it one wide, and the reason was because the rare substations do not connect to each other while these are too wide apart. Once we get to epic, then we can remove the big electric power poles, but that also means that we should be able to use normal. We are not going to be able to use normal. Yep. Scratch that idea. These do not. Nope. Okay. These have to be rare. Still have to be rare. So I have this set up, and I have these set up as well. So what we have being crafted here, what we have being farmed here is quite a bit more than we can fit on half of one side of the belt. So what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to end up having each of these 4 lines have their own belt. Well, kind of. These are for now, maybe not even for now. These are kind of connected together, and if we had the need for another belt, we would probably have another line out here. But for now, these are going to be separated, and they're just going to be kind of condensed together later on. So I have this nice little platform ready. As you can see, they are kind of, yeah, we're not going to get a lot out of these. But I'm going to connect this one to the far side. This one here will then come in and connect here. So you can see that I have them, like I have a gap here. And the reason why is because we're going to need some logistics for the jelly nut. So this is kind of the situation that we have. I have all of this Yomako coming in. I have all this jelly nut coming in. And some of this should be, yeah. And then they will just kind of bring things as they need. So we are compressing everything upwards. Now I did say that I was going to do it kind of like this. I don't want to do it like this because the reason why is because if there was anything coming through these belts, I needed to force everything into the first lane if possible. So this would not allow for that. This would allow for some of it to continue on, and I don't want any of it to continue on if we don't need it. But then this also allows us to have a situation down here where I can do the same thing. Copy that and paste. So I can then recompress as we go down the line. This needs to move. This will come out somewhere. Sure. So this doesn't mean that we're going to end up with 4 full belts. And you might be wondering, like, why am I only keeping it on one side of the belt? So once we get to this point, you can kind of see that if I had something on the other side of this belt, if I had more Yomako mash, or sorry, not mash, if I had more Yomako, these would just stop moving and only the one side would be allowed to continue on. These would all end up spoiling and then we would have problems. So I haven't made a blueprint out of the science yet, and the reason why is because I've been waiting for stack inserters. So we haven't made stack inserters, and I keep forgetting to make them in the episodes. So we are going to do that now. We're just going to use our mall blueprint and see what all we need. We're leaving this space open for kind of dealing with our iron and stuff. So we're not going to use a lot of this back here. So we can just have some bot mall stuff back here. If we had landfill. Whatever. We'll just do the whole thing. Stop giving me inventory. Okay, I think that covers everything. So bottom all, let's just, sure. For the stack inserter, we need jelly, we need processing units, which we are not making, but we are importing. We need carbon fiber, which we are producing but not collecting, and we need bulk inserters. Yay, bulk inserters. So we are requesting in. We have blue circuits coming in for rocket supplies. We have bulk inserters coming in just because. We do not have any, like I said, carbon fiber being collected, so this is the carbon fiber line. As you can see, it's nice and plugged. That was because I didn't filter. Oh, and that's another thing that I did is I went through and filtered anything that was outputting anything at all. So for instance, the jelly here, the Yamako mash, jelly, bioflux, like anything that is outputting anything that can potentially have spoilage. Basically, if it's coming out of the biochamber, it needs to be completely filtered. Anything that's putting out anything. Okay, now that we have the that covered, we're gonna deal with a lot of this spoilage. I'm not gonna mess, too much with it. We're like literally just gonna end up doing something like this temporarily. The carbon fiber is not burnable, so this is just going to give us our carbon fiber. Okay, so carbon fiber is going to be here. Like I said, carbon fiber is going to be here. And this is going to take care of, I mean, that's most of it. And then once all the spoilage is done, we can get rid of that. Okay. Close enough. All right, so we're going to collect some of this back here. Oh, there's still more. Whatever. Okay, so as for the jelly nut, in like a few episodes ago, I mentioned one of the ways that we were going to collect things that spoil, but also how to keep them fresh. So it doesn't really matter where we do it, but the thing is that it needs to be on a line like this, where whatever it is that we're collecting is only on the right hand side of the belt. So we're going to do that right here because we need a place that has extra jelly. And it just kind of makes sense to have it come from here anyways, because this is our kind of dump line to get burned off. Yeah, so we're going to do it here. And the way that is going to happen is we're going to set this up. I'm going to have one income. We'll just do it like this. One incoming, one outgoing. All of these are going to be connected together. This one is going to enable if, and I don't know how much we want to collect, but it's definitely going to be less than, it needs to be, sorry, needs to be less than a stack, because once you get to the point where, like, okay, also kind of doesn't really matter because we can tell these guys to take spoiled priority, so they will dump out whatever it is that is the stack that has the most, the least freshness, let's say. Another thing to note is that the more you put in here, the less bringing in new stuff helps refresh. So like even the bigger stacks. So if you only had like if you were only collecting like 10, that stuff's going to stay pretty fresh. If you were to collect, this stuff stacks to what, 100? So stack size is 100. So if you were to collect up to like 90, it's going to stay less fresh. But the thing is it'll be consistent either way. So had we collected only 10, this would probably stay at like 95 to 98%. But because we're going to be collecting more than that, instead of being at like 95 to 98, it'll be like, I don't know, maybe 90 to 95 freshness. So that's just something to note. So I want this one to enable if jelly is equal to or greater than, we'll just do 90. And the reason why I'm not going to do a full stack is because this guy, when he transfers, he grabs 11 plus 1, or sorry, 1 plus 11. So he grabs 12 items at a time and puts that onto either in the chest or on the belt. Now we could kind of just assume that he's always going to grab 12, in which case 96 would be maybe a decent solution. That's 8 swings of 12, but you can't guarantee, like there's no jelly on here right now, so you can't even guarantee that he's going to grab, like he would grab those 3, maybe that 1, maybe those 2. So let's just keep it on the lower end. Let's actually just say 88, because we are going to make sure that we have 1 stack and only 1 stack ever. So enable if equal to or greater than 88, and this one is going to enable if jelly is less than 88. We're going to cut this and squeeze it in there. And we were supposed to filter this. Abort. Where's jelly? There. So now we have the ability to collect and keep it fresh. So that is going to get us some stack inserters. Nice. Am I trash and requested? Yes. No, bring that back. Where are you going? Oh, I have so much stuff piling up. How about that? I am not hunting for this. Just bring it to me. Okay. We are nearly ready for the full power of this setup, and it's been like 6 episodes, 5 episodes now. So I have stack inserters. I'm going to put that on my bars. And now that we've unlocked this, like you'll see 2. So let's go to, just real quick, go to Volcanus. Okay, that was a bad example. Who is using... So you can see that there's going to be a point where these are single stacked here. And now they've started doubling up, tripling up, and quadrupling. So these are all coming out of the miners stacked. If we go to Fulgora, the recyclers should be mostly doing the same thing. I know it's going to be hard to see because these are not all the same thing, but I don't see any on these lines. Green circuits right there. You can see that they will occasionally have things stacked, and there's a way to make them guaranteed to be stacked. We're not going to deal with that too much right now, maybe later, but it requires a stack inserter and a little bit more space than we've kind of allowed. So actually, I think for us to be able to do that, we would probably have to have these belts come. Anyways, those are just some things to know. Yeah, so now this is going to need, I think it was 2, what does that get us up to? 116 per second. So now we can basically have 2 full belts worth of nutrients coming through here on a single belt, on a 60 per second belt. And that is the power of stacked and stack inserters. So now at this point, we can probably turn this whole thing on. Oh, I also said I was going to change this around a little bit, and I kind of did. I don't know if we're going to have this or if we're going to add some more here. And I might even just like make all of this its own separate blueprint. We will see. But for now, this is going to give us, you know, quite a bit of power, and we're going to end up tacking this onto the end. I don't want to say that, like, it's not necessarily the best idea to ratio the amount of heat exchangers that we have to the amount of steam turbines that we have, because they're not always going to be active. As a matter of fact, you can see that this one barely over 500. These guys barely over 500 because they're all sharing this load, and they're just kind of burning off spoilage, you know, just every now and then as it gets to over 500. These, on the other hand, they are red hot. They are just chugging along. Again, these are kind of feeding off of each other, so it's hard to say for sure, but this one is just nonstop active. That's a potential problem. And here's how we're going to solve it. So I have set a designated position that if any pentapod eggs come in, they get priority because it consumes from left to right. And that will solve that issue. We will not have any spawning over there. I should have held on to it because we're going to need to jumpstart these guys too. Yeah, and I kind of, you know, had a little bit of a situation with these, and you don't want to trash unrequested with this because it'll just start like tossing pentapod eggs all over your storage units. So yeah, whatever. Kind of just an issue we're gonna have to deal with, which I did add some actual things to remove the spoilage, but you know what, it is what it is. I can stay for now until it's needed. Or, cool little trick, when you're in map view, you can tell the bots to remove all this. I played this way for a very long time on Gleba. It's just, you know, you're off on a planet, you don't want this stuff clogging, you didn't set it up right. But we are not going to have that problem at all, right? We're never going to have to remote view remove any of this stuff, right? Okay, so I'm going to snatch 4 of these, and we are just going to get this guy jump started. And he needs nutrients. Alright, this is probably unnecessary. We do not need the enable disable on the buffer chest, because if it's over 10, it's not requesting anything anyways. Whatever. Not a big deal. And I think that basically concludes this blueprint. So I think I might be able to make a blueprint out of this now. So this is holding at 80%. It's going to go down because there's no more incoming jelly. Why is there no incoming jelly? I just don't have much here, and I never actually connected these, so this is probably all spoiling soon. Yeah, not a big deal. So I will mess around with this part off camera. I'll just drag those down and get them up here. Anyways, we have some stuff to do. We're 20 minutes into this kind of, you know, a little bit of a maintenance episode, but we do need to get some iron and stuff going. and I will add some modules to those if needed later. Okay, so we created a calcite ship, and I went ahead and had this thing just go ahead and, you know, added in all the parts. We have a blueprint for this, so added in the spaceship fuel. We are going to set this up. We're going to just do a full rotation. So he's going to start on Volcanus. All requests satisfied. We need a circuit condition of check mark greater than 1 because we have a combinator that is reading all of our items, and if everything is good to go, then it sends out a check mark to the main hub, space platform hub, and as long as the check mark is greater than 0, which it is, we're good to go. Give us a little bit of an activity, so let's just say stick around for 20 seconds. And then we're also going to add an ore. That also needs the circuit condition greater than 1. And the ore is going to be time passed, and just, you know, we're just going to give it like a minute. Not a minute. Needs more time than that on specifically Volcanus. Actually, you know what? We don't need this for Volcanus at all. You just stay until everything is filled up. How about that? So I'm just gonna go to novice. Same situation. Now we're gonna have the second section. So we need a circuit condition greater than 1 and time passed, let's just say 60 seconds. If you haven't unloaded anything in 60 seconds, you just need to leave. Then we're going to Volgora. And the reason we're doing that is because in the space map, it's going to start on Vulcanus, then go to, I don't know, I keep saying Vulcanus versus Volcanus. Whatever, it doesn't matter. Vulcanus, then to Novice, then to Volgora, then to Globa, and back to Vulcanus. Okay, so basically, I wish there was a way to copy and paste this. There's not, at least not to my knowledge. So we are just going to have to manually do this. An activity, 20, what did I say, 20 seconds? 20 seconds. Or, and last but not least, Gleba. All requests satisfied. We need the condition greater than 1, or greater than 0, sorry. Item activity, or in, wow. Yes, item activity, go me. Inactivity, circuit condition greater than 0, that's an OR, and time passed 60 seconds. And we are going to actually add an interrupt, and we're just gonna, like, it doesn't matter what the interrupts are called. Like, this naming of this doesn't mean anything. Out of stock. So the interrupt condition is item count. Let's say calcite is less than, I don't know, like 1,000. Like, if it's under 1,000, it needs to go back to Vulcanus to get some extra stuff. So weight condition is all requests satisfied. And I believe that is it. If it's out of stock, or if it has this condition, if calcite is less than 1,000, then it needs to go to Vulcanus and wait until all requests are satisfied. So we're going to have that as an interrupt. And for the calcite, we're going to have this be... I don't know, it doesn't really matter what it's called. Just as long as we can identify it quickly, that's fine. Alright, so this stacks to 50, so this is 500. I don't know, we can do like... 10,000? So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't know, there's no way for me to like... 6, 7, that's probably fine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I wish there was a way. 9, 10. So it's going to basically fill us up. This is a rocket capacity of 500, so there is a chance that it will go a little bit more than 10,000. Not a big deal. And then on this planet, we are going to add in a section for bringing calcite down. We don't need a lot, but we're going to request 10,000. I know this is going to be a little bit longer of a video. That's okay. And we need to filter. Nope. Filter these for calcite. As you can see, we are now requesting in 2,000 because this is set up to... Like, if you didn't see me create this on... When did I create this? I think I updated it when we were on Volcanus? Or maybe Fulgora. I don't remember when we updated it, but I made it so that it is looking at everything that we have coming in. This is turning what we have into a negative. This is kind of just matching. This is making it so that we don't have any weird like flickering. So it basically removes everything that's less than 0. And then the amount requested is coming in here, and it divides it by 3. So we're actually telling this to only bring us material when we are a third of the way below what we've requested. And once we are below a third, it requests the full amount instead of just like one at a time. Anyways, enough of that. So let's filter this for calcite as filtered. We're going to copy. That looks so weird. I know, we're going to bring this up to the bus, but we're only going to just, oh, hey, look, we're here. We're just going to use it right here. So we're going to start with iron ore. And I think we might tell this to just go ahead and get into position over here. Okay, so we're going to have calcite coming in, iron ore over here. So we're going to use the foundries. And the amount of iron ore that we have is, it's not 3 per second for these, it's about 2.5 per second, because we produce 3, but we consume 1.5, or sorry, 0.5. So this is about 2.5 per, there's 14 here. That's what, 30, 35-ish? So we're only going to have, we need 6.25 per second. And so we are only going to be able to produce like maybe, so 14 times 2.5 is 35 divided by 6.25 is 5.6. So we can generally almost fill about 6 of these. We're going to set this up though for 4. We're not going to use 4. We're just going to have that be expandable. And the reason why we're doing that is just in case we want to extend this later. So both of these are going to need that works. So they're going to need calcite and they're going to need iron ore. And then they will output their molten iron, and we are going to have molten iron go down the bus. And I'm not going to have this be modular and expandable this way. This is it. This is the end of the line for this. So I'm actually going to have this just be an open line, and we will use long-handed inserters for this one because we are also going to have our copper coming through here, which actually means that this one needs to continue on. Oh yeah, I love doing funky stuff like that. And our copper is coming through here. Okay, obviously we do not have the ability to make too much. I mean, we're not even making any at all. I'm not getting any Umaka mash. Oh, that's because I have not extended this. No, that one didn't need to be extended. Anyways, moving along. Yeah, maybe I did need some kind of element of, hey, this one should have been like this. It's fine, whatever. Not a big deal. As long as this one's getting fed in down here, then yeah. These are moving more freely. There's going to be some spoilage in here because these were stuttering and backing up. So these last ones here would have had a hard time placing. Yeah. All right. That's the goal, is to not have that. So I might end up having to do some rebalancing back this way. Not a big deal. I will figure that out later. Anyways, so now we should have some copper coming through at some point. After we beef this guy up down here. Okay, anyways, moving along. We're just going to set it up so that we have this, but obviously we're going to have to do some finagling. So I'm going to have this come past the roboport, the point of the roboport. And this is going to be our copper. So we're just going to copy and paste all of this. Okay, not all of this. And I still need to set up inserters. And this is going to be the copper. What's this guy doing? We are definitely going to need to add some more rockets too. You just had to show up at the same time, didn't you? My little collector of items, buddy. Alright, that's fine. We can continue on. So, obviously we're going to need to get some power in here at some point. I think this can be... Oh, it's not quite going to cover the whole thing. I'm actually going to separate some of these because I want this to be set up as if we were going to be getting 4. Which means that this would need to come out to maybe there. This would look something like that. There. Okay, so we can remove the excess, and unfortunately we are not going to be able to really test this out. I'm going to have to do some configuring with our... Okay, as long as the belts are like continuously moving, then this is not a non-issue. This is a supply issue and not a logistics issue. It's when belts start to back up, that's when we start having problems, and that's what we want to try to avoid. That is kind of why we have, like, let's be honest, we are using quite a bit more. The only thing that we're being a little wasteful on is the bioflux, but we're going to get to that soon. We could also, if we really wanted to, have a situation like a failsafe where we, like, I'm not going to set it up, but had like a requester in bringing in bioflux if we had, I don't know, we're setting this one up for enabling if it's less than 1,000 on this belt. Same with this guy here, enabling if the belt has less than 100, we could set up the bioflux line to enable like everything after here, and you know, enable this if the bioflux is under a certain amount or something. I don't know. I'm not too concerned with it just because it is right here, so it would be easy enough even remotely to just put down a requester chest and bring some extra in if for some reason these guys stopped functioning, but that would be, again, a supply problem, and for now we're good. We just need to add more. Can I get this guy to skip the line? Like, let's go. $1,900. Okay, so we are not going to be able to see it active. That's okay. That is not a big deal. This only needs to go up to there. This would need to continue on to here. Anyways, so this is going to be our let's say copper on the bottom, molten copper. And iron, molten iron on top. You're going to start the... You know what? That's fine. We can start it right there. Okay, so now we will have molten iron and molten copper, and that is going to be the building blocks of most of what we have. We have left this open to be expandable. That way we could, you know, if we ever wanted to add modules to these, have them producing a little bit extra without adding, you know, an extra build or adding more. They could produce more. These guys could produce more with, you know, productivity and maybe a speed module or something. We have a little bit of wiggle room to expand. We're not going to need like a lot of the green circuits, red circuits, blue circuits on this planet, LDS. We just needed enough, right? There's our calcite. Yeah, okay, we do get to see it functioning at least. Molten iron is successful and molten copper is successful. Okay, that is going to be it for me for this episode. In the next episode, we are going to be making some green circuits. So the idea is that anything that requires freshness is going to be on the top. Anything else that does not require freshness, if it is just, you know, ingredients, just because it can end up on the bottom. This is the only place where we're going to need iron and copper is this section here. So I don't need this to continue on at all. I am also going to beef up production for these guys a little bit, obviously. I probably should have had one of these connected to the front line. That would have been maybe a little bit better, so I might reconfigure that to set it up to come in for this line. That would help actually force some of the other stuff onto this line and help feed our guys down here. Anyways, like I said, that is going to be it for me for this episode. Next episode, green circuits. We will maybe play around seeing if we can get some sulfur and plastic if we can finish the green circuits fast enough. I think the green circuits is going to be a little bit of fun because we're going to have a completely different setup than we've seen. Now that we have the foundry and we have the electromagnetic plant. So we're going to have a build that is going to use those, maybe even get around to sulfur and plastic to prep for red circuits. And then at some point we obviously need to get into blue circuits. So that is going to be it for me. I will see you in the next episode, and thanks for watching.